God of War isn't just one of the greatest video game stories ever told, it's one of the greatest stories ever told, period. And as much as I love TV and movies, I think that God of War is something that Hollywood will never be able to adapt properly.
Can you kill something that big?
And with Amazon currently working on its own live-action God of War story, I can't help but ask myself if this live-action adaptation can be as good or better, or come even close to being as emotional, driven. Are we going to be able to hit the mark in any capacity here? Because I genuinely think that Hollywood is probably walking into an impossible challenge here. My love for the God of War video games go way back. The original God of War video games were loud, they were bold, they were violent, but the 2018 remake was like lightning in a bottle. I remember picking up the game on a random night, just looking for anything that was worth playing in any capacity. I knew of the original God of War games, I even played them, but I didn't think that what I was going to get whenever I bought the 2018 game was going to be what I got. Suddenly Kratos wasn't a rage monster, I wasn't ripping off gods' heads. Well, I mean, there is that in the game for sure. But Kratos cared about being a better person, a better father. He cared about his son Atreus. The world was built and fleshed out and the characters were alive. This was a story about Kratos trying to become better, and after everything that he went through in the original games, what a brilliant path to take him down. And then God of War Ragnarok comes out, one of my most anticipated video games ever, and all it did was just elevate everything that made the 2018 version special. Incredible, and God of War Ragnarok could, I'm not fucking around, say this could actually be my favorite game ever, one of the greatest video games ever made. These new God of Wars were written the same that most storytelling video games are. It wasn't written like a video game, it was written like prestige television, but like to the scale of blockbuster level cinema. Like I just said, I felt like God of War Ragnarok literally went to the scales of Avengers Endgame somehow. It was the best of both worlds. It was the best of video games, it was the best of television, it was the best of storytelling. I think that's exactly why Hollywood's not going to be able to recreate it. And I'm not saying that I think that the Amazon God of War TV show is going to be bad. I hope that it isn't. I want it to succeed. But with everything stacked against it, I have no idea how they're going to be able to match it, but I hope that they do. They seem like they're putting together a really great staff and some really great directors and some really great writers and cinematographers to take care of this show, but like I said, there is a lot going against this. Number one, whenever you're talking about live action, that means we have to cast these characters or recast these characters. Christopher Judge, at this moment in time today, is Kratos. You can't replace him. He doesn't just voice the character, he embodies that entire new era. The physicality, the presence, the depth, it's all Christopher Judge becoming this new version of Kratos. I don't think it's fair to find somebody to replace him to play that character. Now you may be saying, well, we could have Christopher Judge come in and play Kratos. I don't think they're going to do that though. I think they're going to look for somebody with more of a name, more of a personality to them, more of somebody who could sell this show. And by personality, I don't mean skills as an actor, because Christopher Judge is up there with the best of them, but can you throw Christopher Judge into a Hollywood movie and expect it to sell at the box office? And when you replace something so iconic as Christopher Judge's performance as Kratos, you're asking audiences to accept that. I don't think that that's gonna work. But maybe even if you can get over that and you can find a Jason Momoa to play Kratos, maybe it could work, maybe I'm wrong, but then you have the issue that the lore is already established because this is going to be an adaptation of the 2018 game and not the original God of War game. With the show starting in the Norse saga, you're completely disregarding what made the Norse saga possible in the first place, which is the Greek tragedy of Kratos, the first couple games, why Kratos is the way that he is. The audience who are playing the 2018 version of God of War know that about Kratos already. You're gonna be missing decades of storytelling that turn Kratos into a monster, so the 2018 version could find a way to revert him into a version of a better man, a better person, a better god. The original games had multiple generations to flesh out this character. This TV show is gonna get 8 episodes to explore Kratos' past, or 10 episodes, or 12 episodes, but it's not going to be animated, which means the budget is going to be more expensive because you have so much you have to fit in here. Now you may be arguing, Ian, this show is made for the fans who are already going to be aware of Kratos' past. And I understand that, but for the audiences who are coming into Amazon to watch this show so you can become new fans of the show, you're not going to get that backstory. Whenever HBO did The Last of Us, albeit The Last of Us Season 2 is not nearly as good, they still had The Last of Us Season 1, they were just adapting the first game. And The Last of Us on HBO has a fan base that have never played the video game before. I don't know how you're going to do the Norse Saga in live action on Amazon and build a new audience to come in and watch this thing. And if you do, I don't know how you're gonna make it as effective, because how the hell are you gonna fit 15 years of character development into 1 season of television? I don't know. And like I said earlier, problem number 3, live action is expensive. It's like Ragnarok level expensive. In order to make this world feel right, you need a huge budget on massive CGI, on massive sets, on massive costume designs, insane motion capture, unbelievably expensive produced fight scenes. And Amazon has the ability to throw cash at it, sure. But even Rings of Power, one of the most, if not the most expensive TV show ever made, felt limited at times with its capacity of what it was willing to show. And games don't have that same limitation. Games don't have to worry about shipping entire filming crews over to Iceland to get that perfect icy snow look. And they don't have to worry about rendering 300 digital extras for every single scene. Another big problem when it comes to the TV show is, like I said before, this is gonna have a huge timing constraint, something that the game didn't exactly have to worry about. God of War 2018 was 25 to 30 hours on the main story alone. Or at least that's what the God of War Ragnarok was. I remember God of War Ragnarok felt like forever. That's okay. You play it, you put down the remote, you go to work, you come back, you play it again. The TV show is getting maybe 10, 12 hours throughout the entire season to flesh out this world, these characters, what makes them important, and you don't have to cover the entirety of the first game in 1 season. I understand that. Where are you going to mismatch to make it make sense? I'm not sure. I guess there's gonna have to be rewrites, maybe. Things that the game had the luxury of taking time to breathe, cutscenes, are gonna have to be cut into shorter times on screen to fit everything into an episode. And I get it that this is streaming, so there is a little more leeway there. It's not television. You're not exactly fit into the same time constraints, and it's not a movie box office where fans are having to sit there all day. But God of War is a slow burn. It's father-son moments on the boat. It's the quietness, the stillness of Kratos and Atreus trying to get used to each other and trying to grow with each other. Hollywood, I feel like, is going to speed run that to try and get the same effect, and I don't know how that's gonna work. Now, there is a path to success here for the Amazon show. You have to stick to the emotional core. You cannot rush the father-son bonds. You just can't do it. And you can't skip out on these action scenes and what makes this important, how Kratos feels like a god. You can't skip out on making the world feel lived in by characters that matter and have emotional depth, but also the scale of it is important. I remember playing the original 2018 game and was blown away by the scale of Jormungandr whenever he came out of the sea for the first time. You can't skip that in the show. Which, yes, the show can do that, but that's an expensive fucking scene to make just once. Jormungandr is important throughout the majority of the story in the original game. But above all else, Amazon, like I said, has to focus on the emotional core and the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. Now, does it matter as much whenever we skipped over so much of what makes that relationship so big in the first place, which is Kratos' backstory? I'm not sure how they're gonna pull that off. But even more important than the Jormungandr stuff, you have to focus on being subtle over spectacle. And if Amazon does that, it has a chance to make a halfway decent adaptation here, even if it's a small one. Are you excited for the God of War Amazon show, or is this too big to adapt? In my personal feelings, I felt like we should have gotten an animated version, an adaptation of the original games. I think that would have been sick, of an animated Kratos just slaying his way through Greece. But anyways, let me know your thoughts. Put them in the comments below. Subscribe if you like the channel, or like the video. If you like this video, subscribe. Again, if you like the channel, click the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace, love, adios, and bye-bye.